Tonight on First Alert Weather Extra, hurricane season has almost come to a close. We take a look back at the most significant storms in the Atlantic Basin this year.
And why radar upgrades are essential to giving you the first alert during wet and severe weather.
Plus, a winter wonderland up to our north. We update you on the lake effect snowstorm that's affecting millions across the country.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Well, lake effect snow, certainly something we don't have to worry about, right?
You know, if there's one thing I don't feel confident about forecasting, it's lake effect snow, because we never deal with that here.
I know, and you know, we actually had to forecast that in college. You know, they gave us those challenges to forecast lake effect snow. Believe it or not, in Alabama, sometimes if the wind is just right, the conditions are just right along the Tennessee River, you can have river effect snow.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen every day, but when it does, there's little forecasting challenges we had in college come in handy.
Yes, indeed. Hey, let's show you what's on the way. We've got some rain coming up, and this has been quite the forecast this week. And I mentioned earlier, just check in often. You know, the forecasts evolve, so check in each day. We get a better handle on the timing and when to expect rain. But you can see the severe risk is actually going to start ramping up here for the next 48 hours in areas back across South Texas and into Louisiana as warm, moist air starts to lift in. You can see how the upper level flow pattern, that southwest flow aloft, is going to transport in some moisture, and we'll start to get clouds tomorrow. Now, I still think tonight will drop close to freezing, but all the moisture starts moving in as those temperatures are well above freezing later in the day tomorrow. But you can see by Thursday afternoon, we have this system moving back to the north and east, and here comes all the wet weather lifting in from the southwest. So there's going to be a good chance for some rain late tomorrow night. In fact, it may be unstable enough to where we have a few embedded storms as we go into the morning hours on Friday, and I'm still concerned a couple of those could be on the strong to severe side, and even the Storm Prediction Center has a low-end marginal severe risk there for Friday. All right, AccuTrack radar right now, look at the 30s already showing up there on the temperature map, and again tonight we'll drop close to freezing. It's still so dry. We don't have quite as many clouds right now, so a big drop in temperature. So a first alert for freezing conditions, and then one of the next big things, again, that rain coming back. Here's another look at some of the model data, and timing-wise, I still think we're in good shape tomorrow. Dry during the day, there's lunchtime, and then you can see by the evening after 5 o'clock, here comes that wet weather building in, and we'll need to watch it Friday morning for maybe a stronger storm to the south. A big concern with something like that will be some gusty winds, maybe a hail producer, so we'll be watching for that risk there as we go into Friday. But we'll talk about the rest of Friday and the weekend. That's all coming up in the First Alert 7-day forecast.
And you know, though it's frigid outside tonight, we do have the possibility, as Wes was mentioning, of rain and storms back in the forecast by Friday morning. So how can you best prepare as we head into our secondary severe weather season? Meteorologist Tania Michelle joins us tonight from Montevallo, a town that is no stranger to tornadoes. Tania, I almost called you Tornado, Tania. Tornado, Tania, are you staying warm tonight?
Oh, Lauren, I sure am trying. It's definitely getting really cold out here. I can see my breath now, and the air is getting crisp. I can tell you that. So, yes, prepare for the winter weather, but also prepare for severe weather. Right behind me, you'll actually see that I have the storm tracker out here. I'm in Montevallo, that's Shelby County, right outside of one of Montevallo's storm shelters. And right next to me, I have our beloved guest, Tim Alexander, the University of Montevallo's Chief of Police, who knows all too well how important it is for not only the community but students as well to know and identify where their safe place is at. How important is that, Tim?
I think it's really critical that students know where they need to go, as well as the citizens of Montevallo. If people are really informed of what to do during the weather, they're better prepared, so that way we can actually minimize casualties and we can actually keep everybody safe. So I think weather awareness is very important.
Absolutely. And in March of 2022, March 30th, there was that tornado, EF3 rated tornado that came through this area and actually affected the University of Montevallo. So how many storm shelters do you guys have on campus for students to go to be safe?
We actually have 2 FEMA rated storm shelters. We have one located in above the Center for the Arts, one of our actual newer buildings, and we also have one that's located in our 3D complex. So both of those are actually important because we need to note they are FEMA rated storm shelters for our students to keep them safe.
Absolutely. And not only are there 2 on campus, but there's 2 in the community for the general public to use as well.
Well, being that I am a citizen of Montevallo, I grew up here as my home. It's one thing that we can actually keep our citizens and our family and friends safe as well. So we have one here located in Stevens Park. We also have one located behind Fire Station number 1 in the city of Montevallo also.
That's awesome. Well, you heard it right here. It's super important to not only be able to identify your safe place, whether that's in your home or at a storm shelter like the one right behind us. But not only that, you also want to make sure that you pack items to take with you when you're heading into those safe places, that emergency kit. We talk more about this all the time. And as we continue to prepare and get you prepared for the severe weather season, we'll have more updates on how you can best be prepared. Reporting live in Montevallo and Shelby County, Tania Michelle with WBRC Fox 6 News, and we're always on your side.
All right, Tania, be prepared, not scared. We certainly thank you for that report there from Shelby County. The National Weather Service NexRad radar will be going through some significant upgrades. Meteorologist J.P. Dyes tells us more about those beneficial changes.
So, Chris, tell me, what kind of maintenance is going on with the Birmingham NexRad radar?
Yeah, JP. So this is really the last part of what we call the National Weather Service SLEP, which SLEP is short for Service Life Extension Program. So basically the Weather Service radars, they're hard to believe, but they're almost 30 years old. The one here in Birmingham Airport actually was put in early 1994 and started spinning in the spring. So to make sure that these can continue another 10, 20 years, we've gone through a series of upgrades. And this is the fourth of those upgrades. And this is the really big one when we start doing a lot of maintenance and actually refurbishing the entire pedestal on top of the radar.
And for folks that don't understand what this is, if you drive by the radar in Shelby County, it looks like a big ball. Okay, inside that ball, you have a dish that's rotating. The pedestal is the part of the radar that is actually holding up that dish and spinning it around. So this is a pretty big dish. This is it looks fairly large from the road, but you get up there to it. This is a large piece of equipment.
Right. So this is about a 2-week process. This is the longest downtime of any of the 4 upgrades. And we have 159 radars across the country. Okay, so even if we're down for 2 weeks, which that would be the longest we would be down, would be 2 weeks. We have other radars that we can use to monitor during this downtime period. We have Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Columbus Air Force Base in East Mississippi, High Top obviously in Northeast Alabama, and we have others as well that we can monitor. So that's the beauty of our network, is if one goes down, we still have others that we can surveil the weather that's occurring across the area. We also have some of the most cutting edge satellite technology in the world. We use that as well with up to 30-second radar, up to 30-second satellite updates.
And in February 2010, the radar went under another significant upgrade back when it was given the dual pole capabilities, with the debris detection. A lot of the tools that we use when we're together tracking that active weather right here on Fox 6. So do stay with us. We're coming back. We're going to be talking a little bit more with Lauren actually right now as we talk about across the country where we've actually had some foggy weather.
Yeah, Wes, and hey, we all need a little self-care, even those NexRad radars. But across the country, as we look out west, farther to the northwest, fog caused a multiple vehicle pileup on an interstate. It actually happened Monday morning on Interstate 86 near Pocatello. Around 30 vehicles were involved and caused the eastbound side of the interstate to close for almost 7 hours. Several people were taken to local hospitals, but there's still no word on the extent of the injuries. And the national Christmas tree takes a tumble. Gusty winds knocked down the 40-foot spruce, the Norway spruce, on the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, just 2 days before the official lighting ceremony. The National Park Service says it's confident the event will still go forward tomorrow, though. This isn't the first time a national Christmas tree has been blown over. It's actually happened several times before, most recently in 2011. And hey, in 30 seconds, we bid a not so fond farewell to this year's Atlantic hurricane season.
Well, tomorrow is a big day when it comes to the weather in the tropics. It is the last day of the Atlantic hurricane season, and meteorologists Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson check in right now to look back on the season and just to see how it ranks compared to past hurricane seasons.
So today, well, it's really tomorrow is the last day of the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season.
Bum, ba-da-da. So we made it through. It was a busy one, too.
It was, but you know, if you're not paying attention, you probably thought it was kind of quiet, right?
Well, that's, but we had several named storms. Let's take a look at all the named storms that we had for this year.
All right, let's talk about it. So we ended up with 19 named storms, but wait. Early January, we had this random system form in the Atlantic.
It was an unnamed storm.
It was called the unnamed storm. So that officially 20 named storms.
So the name was the no name.
Exactly.
Oh, that's tricky. That is tricky. But we didn't get to Vince to Whitney, but still very, very busy, even though we didn't have many landfall hurricanes here.
That's right. It was the fourth most active season since 1950. Can you guess the other active seasons?
Well, they were early this decade, weren't they? 2020, 2021?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there?
Yeah, you're right. 2020 had 30 named storms. That was the most active season. 2005 was second with 28 named storms, and then 2021 was third with 21.
Crazy.
So, yeah, it's been very active. But we ended up with 7 hurricanes and 3 major hurricanes, which, by the way, is pretty close to average when it comes to hurricanes and major hurricanes. On average, we'll get 14 named storms. 7 of those are hurricanes, 3 majors. So this was NOAA's outlook back in May and June. And you know, we were thinking El Nino, that normally means not much activity, but guess what?
We had some warm water, didn't we?
Very warm water, record-breaking warm water in the Atlantic. So they actually predicted a active season, and it looks like it pretty much verified. Not only did NOAA, but also Colorado State, which ended up trending a little bit more active as well, and they aced it. They predicted 7 hurricanes and 3 major hurricanes back in June. So let's talk about the season. You remember this one, Mickey?
Yeah, that hit towards the Big Bend area of Florida and caused a lot of damage there.
Yeah, Idalia made landfall. This was on August 30th in the morning near Keaton Beach, and it was a Category 3. It was a Cat 4 at one point, but thankfully it weakened a bit as it made landfall with winds up to 125 miles per hour. So believe it or not, this was the only hurricane to actually make landfall in the United States this season.
That's why some folks might be thinking, hey, it was a pretty quiet season, but that one hurricane itself caused billions of dollars in damage, 2.5 billion in fact, to the Big Bend area of Florida.
Yeah, so this was the big storm, and we always say it just takes one storm to make a quiet season pretty nasty. So this was that one storm, Idalia, that impacted parts of Florida.
Lee was actually stronger, but he was out to sea, huh?
That's right. Yeah, this storm was a thing to watch. We were tracking this thing for days, and at one point it rapidly intensified like 80 miles an hour within 24 hours. So one of the faster storms to ever intensify in the Atlantic. But yeah, this was a Category 5, had winds up to 165. Thankfully, it stayed away from us, but it did impact parts of the far northeast and into Canada as a post-tropical cyclone. So in other words, it lost a lot of those tropical characteristics, but still produced a lot of rain and wind, even extensive power outages in parts of Maine and in Canada.
Then up the Carolina coast, we had Ophelia, and Ophelia caused some problems up there near Emerald Isle, North Carolina.
That's right. Made landfall there September 23rd. It was close to a hurricane, but not quite, with winds up to 70, and it produced significant river storm surge in parts of eastern North Carolina. So a very active hurricane season. Thankfully, it will be coming to an end tomorrow. Of course, we will continue to watch the Atlantic and the Gulf. Even in December, sometimes you can get these random systems
just
forming.
like this past year. I mean, they're early in this season. So, yeah, we'll watch it for you. And, of course, you can do the same on our First Alert Weather app.
Yes, that's right. So make sure you check it out, and we'll keep you updated on the forecast through there.
Toodles.
And Lauren and I were just talking about she visited her home down in South Georgia for the Thanksgiving holiday and said still, even today, there's a lot of homes with tarps and needing roof repairs and just a lot of cleanup still underway from Idalia, that hurricane that moved through South Georgia. Okay, coming up here on Weather Extra, we got some rain coming, possibly some stormy weather going into Friday morning. I'll have what you need to know and the 7-day forecast after the break. Welcome back into Weather Extra. I know we've been talking a lot about wet weather back in the forecast, but it's a cold night, and we're going to get to freezing again early tomorrow morning, or we're going to head towards that freezing point. So make sure if you took the plants out today, some of those warm weather plants, make sure they're back indoors, because tonight we'll see some frost and freezing temperatures. Here's a look at the forecast, and we'll take this to 10 o'clock. This is the high-resolution forecast guidance, and this showing us by 10 p.m. temperatures already by that point in most areas tumbling into the 30s. And then out the door tomorrow morning, you see we're right at freezing in a lot of areas. That breeze out of the south will keep us from being as cold as last night. Plus, we have a few more clouds that are going to start to build into the area. Actually, tomorrow by the afternoon, we're probably going to be mostly cloudy and may even see a few light radar returns showing up on the radar by sunset time. But initially, a lot of that's not going to reach the ground. The wet weather chances will really start to set in tomorrow night as the atmosphere moistens up and becomes primed in for wet weather. But you can see we have a cold rain that sets up late tomorrow night. Temperatures will level off in the 40s, but some milder air is going to start lifting in from the south with a warm front. And as that happens by early Friday morning, that's when we could see a couple stronger thunderstorms early in the day. And if we did see a strong storm in this setup, it would be Mainly gusty winds, large hail. That would be one of the concerns. But notice by 9 a.m. on Friday, it's close to 60 degrees. So even during the early morning, that's that milder air that's going to start building in from the west and southwest. And for the rest of the day Friday, there's a chance we might catch some breaks, but more wet weather is going to wrap in here from the southwest. You can see it starts to build in Friday night and into Saturday. There may even be a few rumbles of thunder overnight Friday night and into Saturday. And wherever, of course, we get some rumbles of thunder, some heavier pockets of rain, we could end up with over 2 inches of rain before this event winds up later in the weekend. But Saturday looks like a day, especially in the morning, a good chance for wet weather, possible storm, afternoon, some lingering showers, and we still have some wet weather possible Saturday night into Sunday morning, but our confidence is increasing. As Lauren noted earlier, we're expecting this to sweep on to the east direction. So as we get into Sunday in the afternoon, dry weather making a return. Even though it stays cloudy, we will see some improvements there. It looks like some dry weather going into Monday. So if you're heading over for the SEC championship game, wet weather on Saturday. There's going to be some rain in the Atlanta area. Of course, no problems at the game, but for traveling from point A to point B there in Atlanta on Saturday, that rain is going to be around. And we're seeing some wet weather here. Monday, Tuesday, highs in the 60s. There's actually another cold front that comes through next Tuesday night or next Tuesday, so it is going to be kind of breezy with a drop in temperatures by the middle of next week. But how about beyond the 7-day forecast? We'll go to meteorologist Lauren Linehan. And Lauren, you know, looking down the road here, I know we've got a lot of wet weather possible finally for this weekend, but next week it looks like a decent break.
Yeah, and you know, Wes, there's still a question on how much rain we're going to get with this wetter pattern setting up, but then a little dry spell before the possibility. If we look at our first alert weather calendar, next weekend we've been seeing the possibility of a system coming in. Right now it looks like it would be past Saturday, but you know, this far out it could end up being a system that speeds up. But we have been seeing some signs that maybe later next weekend, next Sunday, we could be seeing a rainmaker back in the forecast. So we just want to give you a first alert for that possibility, looking beyond the 7-day for that potential. And then of course we've got those rain chances that we're going to be seeing by Thursday night. But let's take a look at what that temperature forecast could be for us in the days ahead. So that 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, check it out. Most of the U.S. could be seeing above average temperatures, and that does include us here in central Alabama. Now, I'm not telling you it necessarily looks like a heat wave by any means. As we go into December, you'll see the potential highs from December 5th through 14th are showing kind of slightly near average temperatures. So that was the latest outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. And what I'm showing you here is just one model run that is showing possibly highs in the 50s once we get into next week and beyond. But if we see a situation where, let's say, we have a ridge of high pressure building in, that could help to bump up temperatures. Now, here are those forecast lows showing the possibility of maybe 30s again by the latter half of next week, and then possibly some 30s in the forecast as we see that rainmaker coming in, maybe some cooler air coming in behind it next weekend. So even though forecasting the potential for some above average temperatures, it's not like it's going to be warm all day long. You've got these potential for cool downs. Now, it does look like the 8 to 14 day rainfall outlook shows us here in central Alabama with near average precipitation. So nothing we're too concerned with there. Let's look at the future cast though, so we have a better idea of when these systems could come in. Here we are next Thursday, the 7th, showing potentially some clouds around, but us staying dry, possibly dry through next Friday. And then we were talking about that next weekend rainmaker, the second weekend of December, showing a system developing over to our southwest, possibly coming in from the Gulf of Mexico and bringing another round of beneficial rainfall as we get into next Sunday. And then a cool down right after that. But even with a cold rain in the forecast, it's definitely not lake effect snow, but we continue to track the lake effect snowstorm to the north of us. And lake effect snow warnings are still in effect from Cleveland to Syracuse. Portions of the northwest saw heavy snowfall, or the northeast rather, saw heavy snowfall all day yesterday, with the National Weather Service reporting this morning that the commute was the worst for drivers. Visibility was severely reduced and it forced many drivers to stay home. A winter weather advisory is now in effect for those living to the southeast of Lake Erie, with some parts of New York already seeing more than, I thought that said 3 inches. The script says 3 feet of snow, but that is what lake effect snow can do. Again, that's not really our thing around here, but to our friends up north, Godspeed. We'll be right back with a final check on your forecast. So Kim, if it's not played at Tania's wedding, that's going to be played at my wedding. So get ready. I mean, people should know what they're signing up for. So, oh man, this commercial. Oh my God. Well, stay warm tonight, y'all, and of course, a first alert for some rain by Thursday overnight. Catch us back here at 9 tonight for a look at your forecast, and have a good evening.